Hello everybody, and welcome to yet another Sandia Mountain Natural History Center quick trip. Today we're at Juan Tabo Cabin. This cabin served as the headquarters in the area for the Civilian Conservation Corps, a project that was set up by the government in the early 1930s to put people to work and help get the country out of the Depression. Today's trip kind of combines two of my most favorite things, history and conservation. We're going to travel around the Sandias and see some of the impacts that the Civilian Conservation Corps had here in the Sandias. As we visit these different places, I want you to think back to what life was probably like for these young men in these camps. There was very austere conditions. They didn't have a lot of machinery that they were working with, but what they did have was the manpower. So all of these rocks were gathered from the local hills and hauled in here. You also have to consider that this area that we're in Juan Tabo Canyon here was far away at the time from the city of Albuquerque. Albuquerque was obviously a much smaller city in 1930. The roof of the cabin here has burned off in a fire a long time ago, but the rest of the cabin is still pretty intact, which is a testament to how well these structures were built. So from the camp located just behind this headquarters cabin, civilian conservation workers worked all across the Sandias. And you can imagine what a difficult job that is. Many of the trails that head up into the mountains were constructed by those workers. We're going to take one of those and head up to one of their most iconic structures, which is all the way up on Sandia Ridge. Let's go ahead and get started. Well, that is a tough hike. I wish my cameraman had told me that there was a road and there was a short walk over to here. Either way, we've finally made it to the Kiwanis cabin. So in the 1920s, there was a wood log cabin in this spot built by the Kiwanis Club, but that unfortunately burned down. And then in the 1930s, 1936 to be exact, the Civilian Conservation Corps was brought in, and they built this cabin in much the same style as we see everywhere. It's called the rustic aesthetic, and again, I'm always amazed by the work that went into this. But this cabin was used as a shelter up here on the top of the mountain. If people got into some sort of trouble in bad weather or whatever, they could seek shelter here. So my interest in the Civilian Conservation Corps goes all the way back to my grandfather, who was an enrollee, obviously back in the 1930s in Pennsylvania and Maryland. My interest became more strong when I became a park ranger at Carlsbad Caverns National Park and actually got to live inside of a house that was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps. I've always been in awe of these men who were working for $30 a month in totally remote and austere conditions, and how much they contributed to our public lands. There was 3,000 of these men spread across 15 camps in New Mexico alone, working in places like the Gila National Forest, Bandelier, and almost all of our national forests and parks across the state. Here's the Civilian Conservation Corps version of a outhouse. It's pretty incredible when you look at it, and it looks more like a bomb shelter than an outhouse, but I guess that's why it's been able to last here for going on 90 years now. I never really thought I would say this, but these are really cool outhouses. And this, not all Civilian Conservation Corps projects are located in beautiful spots or make for beautiful stops, but they're all important. So here we have a drainage canal along with the road out to the cabin, both CCC projects. So here we are at Dock Long Picnic Area. Before we talk about the CCC, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Dock Long was an actual person that lived here in a cabin actually on this site, and he was a plant pathologist for the Forest Service. But that's a little aside from Civilian Conservation Corps talk. But this is... The picnic shelters in the Dock Long Picnic Area are exact replicas of those that were built here in 1935, using the same plans and the same dimension lumber. So these radio towers here, cell towers and radio towers and whatnot, might not look very 1930s, but if you look carefully, the tower on the left with some red on it, with the platform near the top, that was a fire tower constructed by CCC guys from Camp Manzano in 1935. And if you look at the bottom of that, you'll see a square-looking structure. Just a few years ago, that structure was taken off of the top of the fire tower when it was converted.